Hey there, it's Chris. Welcome back to the next part of the Bang Shishigami project, where, frankly, before we get started, I'm not supposed to be doing this right now. It's now currently Sunday, June 22nd, as I'm recording this, and my master plan was to get out and do a good long kind of distance hilly bike ride this morning, while it'd be nice and cool before it got into like the 90s and or whatever it's going to be this afternoon. But there's a whole line of thunderstorms and stuff that are going to be coming through within the next hour, so that plan got nixed. So if the power goes out and things go dark and whatever down here while I'm recording, well, it's just going to be a shorter session. But figure can't go out biking, so I might as well do this instead. That said, we have a special guest on this one just to kind of go over where we're going from here. In that last time, we finished kind of on Bang, kind of detailing out the gauntlet area on the left side. We had started kind of putting the hand together on the right. And our goal this time is to create kind of base out the gauntlet and arm so at least it's blocked out, and then we're going to go from there. But the right arm gets a little bit more complicated than the left. Not only is it kind of tucked into the side, so it's going to be a little harder to get to certain areas for smoothing. That's not much. But I'm going to have Rain here from my previous project kind of demonstrate where we're going to be going with the hand. And that if I take the hat off just to make life a little easier on myself here, and slide Bang out of the way. So effectively what I'm going to be doing with the hand and his gauntlet is what I did with hers. Whereas for her, this sword had weight. And I know on the very first segment you had seen my Orin model on the side. And when I tried to harden him, he had also a gigantic sword, and it literally ripped the fingers off of his hand when I tried to harden it, and it became a whole to do to kind of harden that and make it turn out well in the end. It did, but it became a whole other process. So when I got to Reigns here, I realized we're not doing it that way. So we have a separate hand that can come off, and I can take that on and off, and that can then more easily take the weight. So that means with Bang over here, if I bring him back, his isn't for weight, but I want to be able to take the right gauntlet here off so that I can actually paint kind of underneath easier and get to everything. So whereas his left hand is glued on, it's stuck, it's not going anywhere, his right hand here is going to be 100% detachable. So we're going to be able to pull that on and off and go. But it gets more complicated than that. Because also, if you look, he has that big kind of metal piece at the end of his gauntlet on his right hand, which I believe, yeah, you can see it in profile view or side view right here. He has that big thing on the end. If I make this whole thing as one unit just so the gauntlet can come out, then I'm never going to be able to paint the fingers under that. So not only is the gauntlet going to be removable, I need the end piece of this to also be removable. So as we go, this left hand process, yes, it took like 3 hours to get it done, but it's in there. This one, workload is going to be work time might be about the same, hopefully less, because again, I now have experience doing the other side. But how it's physically constructed is going to take a little more care and effort to get that to work in the end. But at the same time, I'm really not worried about that for this session. This session is mostly get the gauntlet kind of blocked out, get the arm kind of blocked out so it matches this, and then maybe start detailing the gauntlet part. And then after it's kind of put together, then we're going to be able to slide it. The only trick is now I'm not going to be gluing anything to the metal. It's just going to be sitting there so that it can come off at a future time when I get to the hardening phase. But with that, I figured I might as well bring out Rain. She hasn't made an appearance since the first session. And now that you have seen her again, I can exit her stage left here. Not drop her. It's nice to have a nice little kind of coffee table thing right off the side of this main table, so I can just kind of slide. So whenever I bring my characters out and move them over, I literally go and slide them with the table right next to me. So it's out of the way, nothing's going to happen to it, we're all good. So before I do anything, I've already kind of pre-measured where the hand needs to go on here to be correct. So before I go over how I need to change the hand because it's wrong, let me go and actually maybe cut this metal. So we're kind of in a halfway decent spot on that. So that's something like this. Okay. And I think before I do the hardening on him, he's going to need a little bit of... So once I get the shirt face or the sleeve face done, I need to add a little something onto here just to kind of keep him a little more secure, because he was super tight before. Rain had the same issue where, because in the process of making it, you take things on and off, on and off, on and off, they get a little bit looser. So, gotta deal with that. So that's, if ever I have like a few free moments or whatnot, or if I finish an episode or a session like 5-10 minutes early, I can go and just deal with that. But what's the main thing wrong with the hand here? And if you've ever thrown a punch or something before, you'll realize the thumb is not in the right place. If you're going to do it, you never have a thumb tucked underneath, because if you're going to hit something, you're going to break your thumb. Thumb stays on the outside. So I just need to re-bring the thumb over so it actually is in the correct spot, and then we can kind of work from there. But I would rather get this kind of going in the right place now before I start getting into the next part. Alright, and I'm not sure if you could hear that, or you probably couldn't hear what I just did. We just had a clap of thunder go through. It was more like a rumbling kind of thunder, it wasn't an in-your-face one, but no, the thunderstorm is hitting. That said, I'm in an apartment, I'm not in a house, which is partly why I'm doing clay stuff and not so much on the wood thing, because my neighbors don't need to hear any kind of wood stuff going on, cutting and saws and all that as I do projects. But because that, we very rarely actually lose power, so we should be okay during this, but it did kind of throw a wrench in my whole fitness plans on the day, because I am in desperate need of some kind of distance workout. I really haven't done much of anything in that regard recently, and finally got through all the barbecue stuff. Had actually a really good time yesterday at the barbecue / kind of get together number 2 for client stuff on the week. Had a really, really good time at that one, but was kind of hoping to get something done today. It would have been great, but I just need to hold off a little bit longer, I guess. Which is going to be unfortunate, because that means it's going to be warmer. It's going to be like 90 plus degrees outside. It's now, because it's going to be raining here, it's going to be like Jurassic Park humid going on out there, so it's going to be great. But I figured about a 40-mile bike ride. I actually did the route that I wanted to do last year, or I did it last year, so I kind of re-looked up everything again, because I keep notes on pretty much everything. And it's more like 35 miles, but it's a very hilly 35 miles. So it's going to be around probably 2 hours to finish from start to finish. But we'll get it done. It's just not quite the way I had planned it being done. But that's okay. As long as it does in the end, that's really all that matters. Okay. Sorry, I'm doing everything. I'm talking, and doing this all off camera. But we now have a thumb, which at least kind of comes over. I don't think we're 100% correct on form, but at least the thumb is coming into the correct place, which is nice. Again, getting the fingers started is the trick. Once the fingers are kind of started and in here, adding things, subtracting things, and kind of doing stuff to it, fists make this actually really nice to work with. because we can kind of add and subtract. There is enough mass behind this that I can kind of play around and make things work. So I am kind of pleased with that. Let's see, just want to make this feel like... Am I on camera? Yes, I am on camera now. So you're coming in, you're coming down. Oh, what do we need? We have, just like the other fingers, we have fingerless glove thing going on. So we need to do something with that. Yeah, probably better. This is why I check the weather forecast anytime before I take a bike out, for sure. I definitely check the weather forecast, because yeah, like I said, I doubt you can hear it, but it's not cracks of thunder, but it's rumbling out there. I looked at the forecast. Just about this entire recording session is going to be red in the sky. Reds and orange on that weather map. So, it's going to be one of those types. I don't know why I'm pushing down too much. I don't need to worry so much on detail, because what's going to happen is, just like before, I'm going to manhandle something, and I'm going to squish something on here, and we're going to be fixing everything in the end anyway. As I can already see on my knuckle, I already lost one of the things on the knuckles. So, this is normal. Yeah, it's kind of like detail at your own risk at this point. Just be very careful with how you actually do things. Then again, I think I had to redo the other hand completely. I have to go through the video again, but I think I had to basically redo the other hand completely once I actually attached it. So maybe not worry super much until I get to that phase. However, just like last time, we're still going to attach this like last time, in that I'm going to make a little channel. I'm going to make a little channel, carve this out. We can put this on, and let's see, let me change you. In what direction is his hand facing? His hand is kind of like this. It's kind of an upper, it's not out, but it's kind of almost like an uppercut-ish kind of look to it. One more time on you. So kind of to base of thumb to the end. Base of thumb to the end is actually... we're going to have the same problem as rain, where in order to make things work, you might need to play a little bit. So if I have this, this is going to tell me that I can go back just a little bit, but in general, I'm not going to want the arm going forward when I make it. I'm going to want to basically beef things out back. So I'm going to put a thin layer up on the front, but we're mostly going to be, I think, pulling you out back to make this work. And also, I can cut just a little bit more off the front of this. This I would like to get correct right from the start. I don't want to have to redo any of this part. Alright, so that's kind of gauntlet size. That goes from there. That's going from base of thumb kind of down. So we base the thumb down. That should fit in or about there. Okay. So let's see. We actually don't need you attached to that. And we're going to try to be better. I feel like I've been really bad these last couple times on keeping things on camera that I'm trying to do. So we're gonna see if we can improve my track record on this. And this is going to be a little awkward from the start, because I need to attach this stuff without actually, as I said, gluing it on. So hopefully we're not going to have any of this kind of spinny phase going on, Because we're going to need, unlike Rain was just a glove. We're going to need his entire arm to be able to slide on and off this thing. So I will be kind of testing it, kind of sliding it on and off as we go. However, we don't need the head on here. That can go as well. However, I want to build enough mass on this at the start just to kind of help facilitate sliding on and off without injuring or hurting any of the pieces that are on here. Make it too thin, you go slide on and off, and you can kind of warp, mold, or do stuff to everything. So let's build up a little bit of mass, which actually isn't super easy because, again, this clay doesn't like to stick to wires. Anytime you do stuff, anytime I kind of push in or whatnot on here, it's trying to create air pockets between the clay and the wire every time I do anything. So kind of squeezing in, getting it to work is a little bit of a process. But that said, I'm also not going to be basing out here until I can pull the gauntlet itself off. Because last thing I want to do is attach this with the clay, and then I can't get anything off. So I just want to do a little build up first, kind of slide this guy on and off, and then we'll kind of, well, continue building up. And in the end, it's all going to look good. Just like the other arm, it's going to be a process to get this thing to look good. But we're going to get it to look good. Let's see, you need to come down a little. Again, we're going uppercut-ish. Uppercut-ish look is what we're going for. I'm laughing because I'm just hearing rumble after rumble. It's like every minute there's another rumble coming through. Haven't done one of these videos in a thunderstorm before. Although I'm not really going to call it a storm yet. It's more if I can just hear thunder. But it's not booming. It's not like when I was living, like growing up back in home, when we kind of lived in the middle of nowhere area. And you would hear the cracks of thunders come down and hitting trees and stuff on the side and hitting our well multiple times over. That's all I need is a multi-100-foot lightning rod that goes into the ground, aka a well, because we don't have city water. We didn't have city water. And I think that got hit like 3 or 4 times or something while growing up. It was a thing. It's great too, because it's right near a tree, so you'd hear it's like a cannon going off. It hits the well. You go outside like the next day to kind of evaluate what's going on, and there's this scorch mark that goes from the end of the well off to the tree, up the trunk of the tree. And you're like, well, I think I see what happened. And of course, once that happens, you got to get the well guys in there. They have to pull all the pipe out of the ground. Of course, you fry the pump on the bottom, so you have to go then re-put a new pipe back, or a new pump in the bottom. They have to go re-drop all the pipes back down again, and we have a deep well. But being it is one of the times we did it, again, it was located like right under the tree. So the guy comes out and says like, yeah, we can do this, but you need to get a tree guy in here to take out the tree first. So get that in. We'll come back like tomorrow or something, and we'll refix your pump on the bottom. I remember my dad looks at him. He's like, no. He's like, first of all, the well's like, yeah, we can come back in like an hour. He's just like evaluating. We can get our equipment here. We can do it kind of within an hour or so. But you need the tree guys first. Get it done. My dad goes, no, that's not going to happen. Come back in an hour. It'll be ready. And yeah, within that hour, he went, got his chainsaw out, and somehow he dropped that. It was one of those multi-branch trees. They're like 6 prongs that come out of the ground, dealy. And the one that was in the way, he dropped it perfectly. It went right down on the driveway. It missed the house. It was like he had this one slot he had to get it into. And yet missed the house, it missed the garage, landed cleanly on the driveway. We were able to take that thing down, clean it up, get it all out of the way. Well, guys came back within the hour. He looks up and he's like, well, all right, here we go. They were able to do it. But that one, getting that situation to work was crazy, but it did. Okay, we're starting to get somewhere again. This is going to start looking better. Once this arm starts beefing up like the other one, again, it's cartoonishly huge because like it's a cartoonishly huge gauntlet, but it's the way BlazBlue does their designs is they just do cartoonishly huge stuff. But no, I think once the jacket sleeves and whatnot go in here, it's going to greatly visually improve. And I'm doing this all the wrong way too. I got to go back and do this how I did the other way. Roll out some sheets and just wrap this whole thing around rather than do this little kind of bits and pieces and partial thing. Because that was so much more efficient last time. So much more efficient. Yeah, my hope is to have a little more energy on this session today. Because I feel like the last couple sessions I really haven't had much energy. I don't know if it's been a downer or what, but I really haven't had that much like energy going on. I wish I had a little more oomph going into these segments. So got to get a little something else happening here. Try to be a little more upbeat, a little happier. Like this stuff's gonna be awesome, yeah. But I'm missing a tool. Again, I only have so many tools that I use. I shouldn't be missing stuff. Alright, so what do we need to do? So let's go ahead, get some of this, bring you out here, see that you are set to something that's useful. That's good. Yep, get off of that. That said, I'm also kind of thinking back to last time's discussion where I'd said that when I went to the first party, I'd met like one of those random, you meet somebody in a place where you'd never expect to meet them ever. Kind of like, oh, random parties, meeting client, they're friends with somebody who, like I said, went to the prom with my brother. I was like, wow, that's... And you realize it's funny when stuff like that happens, but it's also not isolated to just that. There have been other ones that have worked out that way, and it's always weird when it does. I remember we had one, we were visiting San Francisco one time. We were going out to, it was Alcatraz, and all of a sudden somebody from the track and cross country team was there, kind of randomly doing the same thing we were. It's like, what were the odds? It was like a summer break or something like that, kind of. I forget if it was summer or spring break, but yeah, it was just like, what are you doing here? I wasn't expecting that. I remember when I was studying abroad over in again, I did architecture when I was in college, so it was expected we would study abroad during that time in Florence. So spent a semester in Italy. And I remember, now, one of my favorite spots out there is if you're going to go as like a tourist, you're gonna see all the main areas. You're gonna go to Ponte Vecchio. You're gonna go to the Duomo. You're gonna see Santa Maria Novella. You're gonna go to Santa Croce. You're gonna see Palazzo Vecchio. You're gonna see like the Accademia, like all the main kind of the places which do warrant visiting. I'm not gonna lie, but I think my favorite was San Miniato. If you go across the Arno, kind of down south, the river that runs through, and go up the next hill over. It's either the Church of San Miniato, the Basilica of San Miniato, whatever it was. It was San Miniato. And it's one of those, it's on a hill. You go up like, I don't know, 150, 200, kind of equivalency of 150, like 200 steps to get up there, or you take this winding kind of road to get up. And it literally overlooks the entire city. You're kind of like looking down on the Duomo, whatever. So again, high school, I used to do the track and cross country stuff. So when I was in college, I was still trying to stay somewhat in shape. So I'd every now and again I'd go out running or whatnot, like on the weekends. And I remember going up the steps one time during a run, and I'm wearing the like our state championship science Olympiad shirt that we had. Because again, by that point, it's like it's a high school shirt. I can. It became just yeah, fitness apparel at that point. And I remember being stopped by kind of an older couple who were kind of tourists in the area. And like, wait. That's Science Olympia. That's from such and such a town. Are you? Is this such and such a state that you're in? I'm like, yeah. Oh, that's the town. Oh, we were following that type of stuff. We live the next town over. We just like started talking about the team and kind of the area, and I was like, what? It's like one of those small world things. It was great. Now, studying abroad was fun. If you have the ability to, it's one of those I would recommend that if you have the ability to experience that type of thing. Then again, we had the option to go all year or just a semester. I think one or two people went the entire year, but generally speaking, the expectation was just a semester for that. But it was worth it. Did ours in the spring, which is great too, because if you go in the winter, like basically we got there in January and kind of from there really until kind of the end of March, there was nobody around. I remember going to like my brother came down for spring break. Hey, we can get the Gauntlet can come off, so this is good. Our brother came down for spring break. We went to like the academia and whatnot. We have like David's like on display and whatever. Like we walk in, there's nobody around. Like you can just walk up and see anything you want. The Michelangelo stuff, the David's, or the Donatello stuff they had over there. You can see whatever. I remember I went to Rome, and we're going into the Vatican, and once again, there was nobody around anywhere. It was just you go the right time of year. It is fantastic. It's just you can walk into anything. Once April hit, forget it. You couldn't do anything after that point. But until that time, you could do whatever you wanted to and just walk up and do it all. So if you're going, so one thing, yes, I would highly recommend kind of going and doing stuff. But also if you just want to go and visit like any of those kind of more touristy cities, yeah, find an off season. You can get so much more done, so much more seen in an off season. Because again, once April hit, when we were there, you would just see tourist bus after tourist bus after tourist bus coming through. You would see, it was, the entire city changed. It was swamped. But until that time, you could do it. You had free reign. You could do whatever you wanted to. You just walk up to whatever, do whatever, and it was great. Let's see. Let's actually measure from kind of base of fingers down, just in case I'm starting this. Yes, I am kind of generally starting that. We do kind of want that to look like it fits. That would be very, very helpful. Now, from there, we want, what's our skinniest point? Our skinniest point is around there, so we need to add a little more. But studying abroad that was fun. I wasn't good on the language part of things. Like I said, I'd taken Spanish in high school. We were required to take Italian in college in prep for the program. But I'll be honest, by the time I got there, I figured my knowledge of language was enough to ask all the questions we needed to ask, but I couldn't understand a word of the answers that were being provided. So, at the same time, unless you were like 70 years old or older over there, everybody spoke English. I don't think anybody ever tried to speak Italian to us. Everything was just English, English, English. Now that was also like 20 years ago, so things may have changed since then, but no, it was good times. It was good times. Never did get out to Sicily. The ones I never did Sicily. I never got out to Milan. Torino was just about to host the Winter Games at that point, but never actually got out to Torino or Lake Como or any of that. But otherwise, did most of the other big ones you would kind of think of. Did all the hill towns. Did the Verona. Did Venice. Venice. You can't go to Venice without getting lost in the streets. That's a requirement. We found that one out. You walk in there and buildings like catty corner right next to each other, and just everything is an alleyway or a canal, and just we got there and like instantly like, well, now what? We're here. Our hotel is here. How do? But how had good times. That is about the side. That is about the skinniest part on him. So that is beefy, and we need to get bigger. And I'm getting the feeling this is going to be one of those things that gets hardened, and then I'm going to need to shove some more stuff in here after hardening it to kind of pack out, because I think no matter what I do, it's always going to be like that. I can try to shove stuff in right now. It's always going to be loose. So I'm just going to deal with the fact that it's loose right now, and that's just going to be fine. And starting to realize I'm not 100% sure what time I started this thing. So I'm just going to kind of go by what time I think I started this session, and we're just going to go from there. And we're going to hope this ends at the hour mark. Because again, I don't have a timer going for any of these sessions. I kind of look at the clock on the side, and then just kind of keep staring back at the computer's clock every now and again to make sure I'm kind of paying attention to time. But that's about as far as I go on that. And I realize I've been actually holding a decent conversation, which I feel like I haven't done in a while. But at the same time, yeah, I should probably actually pay attention to what I'm doing. Mind is elsewhere. But Semi-auto, that was definitely my favorite spot. Yeah, nobody else really knew about it. Nobody else would really go there, or they go there once and that would be it, because it's a lot of work to kind of get up to it. But no, if I can make the recommendation for anybody who ever wants to go to Florence or see stuff, that would be mine. Just make the trek up there. You can see the entirety of the city. You can kind of get a lay of the land. You can see where you want to go, what you want to see, what you want to do. Everything is right there. It's a gorgeous sight. You go there kind of like at sunset or something, as the sun is kind of setting by the city and the lights start coming on, and it's a magical kind of place. But yeah, it requires work to get to it. Plus, I was fit. Like I said, I was still kind of coming off. Well, I guess I'd been out of high school for a while at that point. But all right, just trying to flatten this section out. Let's not hide that hole completely. And what do we want? We have... Okay, so the trick is I'm still going to need to have this wide enough to make... Now, the arm is generally going to be built back towards him. Now, I can always cheat you up just a little. I don't want to go too far up, because that's going to cause other kinds of problems in terms of visuals. I don't want the arm to feel too big, but I do need enough room for this to actually work up top there. Now, good thing is, because the arm is tilted, these kind of side pieces, which are still going to be there. Yeah, these things will still be there. They're at least going to be tilted up, so it's not going to be digging into the arm. They're going to be kind of up top or down here, because again, his arm is twisted. So we're actually going to be okay on that point. But that said, how wide is the back portion? Back portions... Actually, we're kind of at the back portion, which means I have too much in here. Yeah, okay, so I have added too much, which is okay. We can deal with that if I have the right tools. So just gonna flake off some of this. I do feel better. I don't need to add any more to the back. That is good. Yeah, don't have a lathe. Lathe would be great. It wouldn't work for any kind of clay stuff, but for kind of woodworking things or whatnot, lathe would be awesome. To actually, I've never used one before. We had metal shop and wood shop and all that back in middle school when I was doing it, but lathe was not something. I think we had one. I think I used it once for something, and that was or once or twice, and that was about it. So I remember back in like the metal shop and wood shop, the things, at least metal shop, all we did in metal shop was we made tools. Like we made ourselves a hammer, we made ourselves like a screwdriver, we made ourselves kind of basic things, and then we made a box to put it all in, and that was like our final exam kind of deal. So all we did in metal shop was make our tools and then make a box to put it all in, and that was my experience. So I remember we did use a lathe for that because we'd have to like make the handles on the stuff, kind of knurl the stuff correctly. But I figure middle school was a long time ago. We're talking like not quite 30 years, but it was more than 25 years ago that I had that. So it would be nice, I think, to have that kind of tool again for certain kind of things. I'm kind of thinking about just how I need to squeeze this down a little bit so that it works correctly. And actually, with that in mind, where does this fit in? Because we have now a hard back edge on this. So you come up to about there. So I need that to be my skinny point. So I do need a little bit more. So we're... Because yeah, I know when I was doing my straw project before, which I've attempted a couple woodworking things. I have 3-ish kind of under my belt, of which anybody who knows me has only seen one of them. So to those of you who are watching who know me, which is pretty much I think my entire base at this point, maybe that'll change in the future. But yeah, you haven't seen everything I've done. Generally speaking, you've seen the stuff I've wanted you to see, and that's about it. But one of those was, like, I'd been doing the clay stuff for a while, and I was like, I want to try something out of wood. And I love again, most of my things are going to be based off of, like, video game stuff, because I've never grown out of, like, video game phase. I don't play them nearly as much anymore as I used to, but Final Fantasy airships, in general, are still great. There are a couple that miss the mark. I'm looking at like Final Fantasy X-2, the Celsius on that. Stuff like that to me just kind of misses the mark. But in general, like the Blackjack from FF6 is awesome. You can have the Falcon and Blackjack from FF6 are so good. The Fahrenheit from Final Fantasy X is so good. The Prima Vista from Final Fantasy IX is so good. The Ragnarok from 8, I love the music for. Design, I think, is okay, but it doesn't stand out as super good, super bad. It's just kind of, it's there, so it's fine. But FF12 had the straw, and It when you see images of it, it looks complicated as all get out. I'm like, I'm gonna make this thing. So I started doing that one, and there were a number of parts where having a lathe on that would probably be super helpful to kind of. Yes, I'm kind of basing things off of dowels and whatnot, but I'm also using a Dremel kind of going around all the little areas and trying to make it all smooth and whatnot. It has been working out. Or when I was doing it, it was working out pretty well. But at the same time, it did kind of turn into probably more work than it has to be doing a number of the parts. And it's definitely one of those projects where in the end, I think I would like to get back to it at some point and kind of continue on. I figure it's, vertically speaking, it's kind of broken down into like three distinct sections on it. So I made the top section, it has like the cockpit and whatnot. I have that section. Middle section is kind of like it's either your secondary thrusters or kind of like your weapons and stuff kind of come out that side. I have about half of that section done. And then the bottom section is like all your thrusters, the moving parts and whatnot. And I have this whole scheme to have this whole thing be mechanically movable, and I bought gears and stuff I can stick in there to kind of make it all work. And I am set on that one, but I just need to, I need to at some point say, okay, I'm going to sit back on here, maybe not get the whole thing finished. Like I'm going to spend like a month or so kind of going and just kind of making progress on this. And then later on I'll come back and kind of, it's going to be one of those I need to kind of come back to, I think, over time and time again. Just kind of, I'll do a little bit here, I'll do a little bit there. We'll eventually kind of get this to work its way through. But yeah, no, it's now been about a year and a half since I've started that one. Or since I've kind of, not started, but took a hiatus on that. And I think I'm due to get back at some point. That said, if you think this is going by slowly, the pace on that is a little more glacial, I'm not going to lie. So I'm not sure how well it works as a video thing for that, but I might do sessions here or there. I'm not sure how, it would be nice to put that on video, but I'm not sure how well that one's going to work as a video one. But it is on my list of things I would like to do sometime in the future. Kind of get back to it. It's like everybody has like this kind of shipbuilding thing. They might have one they start and like you have like all the masts and stuff you want to do, and it's like the quintessential. Okay, I'm gonna start this. I'm gonna get it kind of going. I'll take a break. I've been going for a while. I'll take a break. I'll come back to it again in the future. It's like that's where I feel like on that. It's been long enough now that it's like okay, interest has peaked a little bit. We will get back. That said, for this channel's sake, I've said before, I do want to go and do another clay one after this, just so at least I have a little bit of a backloggery. As I have done zero in terms of like advertising this out to people. I've done zero. I want to kind of build a little backloggery first, I think, before I even really think about kind of, I don't know what I'd do to get more people kind of to view it, but I think having a backloggery would help. So if somebody does like what they see, they can go towards more. They have something else they can actually look at and say, hey, that's kind of cool. Or if somebody says like, all right, I want to go and build one myself, let's go and see how to do like hands. And I'll have like a couple sessions. I can have a couple different models showing how to do, say, hands. Or I can have a couple different sessions showing how to do like a face, or a couple sessions saying how to do hair, or how to do shoes or boots or stuff like that. So it would be nice to have a backloggery just for those kind of situations. But yeah, once I get the second clay one done, which at the same time, that's partly for the channel and partly that's going to be stalling for me, because I don't really want to start anything new until I say after I do this ultra marathon come, say, a week after Labor Day. So I don't want to rock my ship here partway through. I do want to get through my big event first before I kind of change course on something as well. So it's partly for the channel, and it's partly for me, just because, yeah, as we get closer to the main race time, I want to be more and more in my happy place on this other stuff. Which, I'm sorry I'm not talking at all about the model right now. I'm basically doing what I did on the previous one. I'm now just doing it on this. So it's not like huge changes are being made right now. It's okay. Size-wise, that feels like it's pretty okay. Size-wise seems to match that. So that's good. Width-wise, we seem to be okay on that. And we can see our seam here is partly into that, which is all I need. This doesn't have to be perfect yet because I haven't gotten to that, and I'm not 100% sure. After this session, I'll kind of figure out how I want to make. It's gonna be easier. How I want to make this so the bottom is detachable. So I don't want to make that portion yet, this big round part, until I figure out exactly how I want this to be. Exactly how I want that to work. So we're just going to do one thing at a time on that. And now I could start detailing out the hand here, but I think just for balance sake, I'm going to go and try and beef up the arm a little bit here and kind of beef up some of this just so, yeah, we can start to have this feel a little more correct. So I think I have something like 10 or 15 minutes left. And I'm just going to go ahead and actually use that time to my advantage. Now I can actually break some glue out, because I do want to glue or attach. Again, this is the glue I've been using forever now, so once again, I don't know how much glue is actually on this thing, or in this tube. But we are going to put some stuff on here. Let's see. And I think for the arm as well, I'm going to do the same kind of thing. I'm just going to take a thin piece, and I can just wrap it all the way around. I can just put glue all over this, wrap it around. Actually, it might not even need the glue for this arm, because I'm going to have enough force on here that I might just be able to get it to hold. Now, I'm not looking at going all the way up the arms and the shoulders and all that yet. We're going to deal with the jacket itself later, so I'm not going to worry about going too far up this. I'm still listening to Rumbles of Thunder. It's like about like half hour since I first heard the rumbles. You guys, again, I don't think you can hear it. I can barely hear it out of my ear, but it's there. And no, I think we will be adding some glue. Again, wet clay will stick to wet clay, no problem. Wet clay here will not stick to anything else for anything else. Let's get that off my finger. Okay, so with that kind of in there. And like I said, hopefully this will help make it feel more balanced, because when we have one gigantic arm and nothing else going on, feels bad. So if we're going to make this, let's start to make this feel less bad. So we're looking at it now. Already haven't done much, but it's already feeling more correct. And that's kind of the important part. Granted, I'm now shiny up top, which, again, that's not going to matter because that's all going to be covered with the jacket in the end. But until we get to that point, which, again, I believe this is coming out on Friday. So, yeah, I think my hope was to have kind of the jacket stuff going this weekend. we might be starting the jacket on Sunday or so because we're going to have a lot more Gauntlet stuff to do. We know how long this Gauntlet took, and you even missed a session of that one as well. So we're going to have some detailing stuffs going on with that. So I'm guessing then it's going to be more like towards next week or during the week is when we're going to start getting to the jacket phase. But that's okay. At least we're looking a lot better now that now that we are more balanced. It's going to start looking better. And I'm going to need this guy to kind of be up on here, just get an idea of where we need to actually pack out. Which again, we're going to be packing out anything a lot anyway. As you can see, that sleeve gets puffed out once it gets in here. So there's going to be a decent chunk of stuff going all over the place down here. We can't see it in the end on this because again, the view I'm going off of is 100% blocked on that. But we can tell it's going to need some puffing. We're going to need the puffy shirt. The Seinfeld puffy shirt. That's what we're going for. Except not quite in the same way of puffiness, but we are going to make this start to look good. I still laugh every time I see the face on here, though. That face is either going to be the thing of legends and work perfectly, or it is just never going to look right. But that's also part of the game of doing this stuff kind of live. I'm not really redoing things. It's like I'm going, oh yeah, if things don't work out, I can just redo it later because it was the face, it wasn't attached to anything else. But at the same time, it just takes time to do this stuff. Yes, it's only an hour session, but there's setup that goes into before each session. I have to kind of set the computer up, kind of get an idea of what I'm doing, kind of do this, that, and the other. There's post-production stuff. Yes, I'm not cutting stuff out. I'm not actually editing anything. But I do still kind of watch things over, make sure I'm still talking correctly, make sure I'm still kind of giving info I just want to kind of get an idea of how. So it winds up being more than just this hour session to do any given thing. So if I want to say if I were to give say 2 or 3 different attempts at the head and just take the best one, that's going to be an entire day's worth of stuff. There's going to be an entire afternoon's worth of stuff just to do that. So generally speaking, I'm never going to be redoing any session from scratch. It's just not going to happen. So things like the face, if it works out, that's awesome. If it doesn't, we just kind of go with it. And it's just going to be what it's going to be. And right now, I think once the eyes get painted and the face gets painted, it's going to have that. The eye is going to be kind of the bright white. You're going to be able to see. It's going to help mitigate the shadow that's coming from the brow, which is a little too big. But that's kind of just a hope that that's going to work. But yeah, I do think it will wind up doing what I want it to in the end. It's just a little funny kind of looking at it right now until we get to that point. I don't know why. It just humors me when I look at it. Probably because it's just not quite what I was expecting it was going to look like. It's close. It's really close, but it's not quite there. Okay, starting to like this more. We're getting more stuff in. I said I could start detailing Gauntlet, but I'm thinking I'm just going to hold off the rest of the Gauntlet till next time because I believe we're just a few minutes away. I'm thinking back now. Yeah, I think I have 5 minutes to go, give or take. So I'm just going to puff out this shirt a little bit, just so we have something visually that can kind of go with the other side, and then we're good. Then we're just going to call it at that point. Again, we're not 100% detailing. I'm not going to 100% detail this shirt until this Gauntlet section is actually on. Although theoretically, the end of the Gauntlet is the size I want it to be. So I actually really could do the jacket right now if I want to. Because really, I can do that. I can pull this off, and I can just do the whole gauntlet separate. So there really is no pro or con as to why I would do one section versus the other at this point. I really, really could, because this gauntlet comes on and off. So I can actually think about that between this session and the next one. Because, like I said, there really is no reason not to do that. So, yeah, I'll think about that. I will definitely consider. Because I think the jacket's going to really make this thing look like it comes together. Although already just doing this right now is already making a big difference in terms of how this visually all works. But no, I definitely think I need to... I don't want to go too low on this, but at the same time I do want to have a little bit of a bicep going. So I do want to have something up in here. Granted, most of what I'm going to be doing is added to the back and bring the arm back a little more. But I can give him a little bit of a bicep. Again, even if it gets hidden by the fabric, I can know the under part of it is there, and we're all good. And gravity, if nothing else, gravity is going to take this puffiness down a little bit. So it's going to hang and then get tucked into the gauntlet itself at the very bottom. So just use up the rest of this. And I think then that's going to be the end of the session at that point. Which is kind of coming right now, because that's the end of it. Oh, wrong guy. And the next time, for symmetry's sake, it would be nice to maybe get the gauntlet done. But at the same time, for overall visual sake, it would be nice to have the jacket part done. So, yeah. I wasn't thinking, that wasn't on my radar before this session started, but it's on my radar now. So you'll know which one it is when I give the title description, for sure. But until that point, we're gonna go. I'll probably have one more session on this today, so I'll think about it maybe during the bike ride, which I'm still planning on doing. It's gonna be after lunch now. I'm hoping when I go back upstairs again, I kind of leave the basement, look up. I'm hoping to see that it's not raining anymore. And we'll find out, because it would be nice if things can dry off a little bit too. That would be great for bike riding. I don't need to have any additional things go wrong on that front. So let's see, we now have something that's looking a little more in proportion. Oh, without the gauntlet on here, that hand is looking small. So now, yeah, he's more balanced on the upper body part. Wow, that hand is looking small without the... So yeah, I might just go and do the gauntlet part. Again, I think that's actually going to make it look better more now than the jacket part will, because now the hand is tiny. But at least lengthwise, I'm looking like I'm kind of where I want to be, which is good. If the things are too long or too short, it looks really, really weird. But I think in that regard, we're actually kind of looking like what we want. You're kind of up. I should have had him tilt his head tilted to the side just a little bit more. But yeah, no, this has been, I don't even know the part number off the top of my head of the Bang Shishigami project. And yeah, no, I was feeling more relaxed this time. So hopefully the next couple episodes, next couple sessions, I'll bring a little more energy to it. Like I said, I think the previous couple I was just a little flat energy wise, but we're going to try to bring a little more energy to these as we go. But no, this has been good, and until next time, enjoy.